Hi guys, it's Liz here. So as you can see, the build is really fun, right? All you need is just to press one button, which is ice shot, and when bossing you put down tornado and then the freezing mark. To basically the freezing mark, we use it to freeze the boss easier. And then yeah, you just click ice shot. It's really easy setup, but the gear is quite expensive. Like, I'm using 3 lineage support team, and these 2 is really expensive: Rakyata's Flow and Garukan Resolve. But the one that you need the most is not Rakyata, but Garukan Resolve, because we're building crit. The reason why we're building crit is because when we are using Garukan Resolve, our critical hit chance with attack will bifurcates. So what is bifurcates? Basically it will roll your critical hit chance twice when determining if they are critical hit. So you can roll one and then you can roll twice if both rolls succeed. So basically double the damage. So it's really amazing. That's why we're building crit, because in order to use this Garukan Resolve, we need crits. So the bow, as you can see, I have 4.9 to critical hit chance. Although the physical damage DPS is quite low, but it is very hard to get a bow with a surpassing chance to fire an additional arrow and also critical hit chance. Like, it's very hard. I think I buy this around 15 divine, and then I use Omen of Light around 30 divine to get the increased physical damage, which is wasting a lot of money. So if I can go back in time, I'll just buy the increased physical damage, high increased physical damage, and then the desecrated will be the flat physical damage. I think it will be easier. Alright, so the bow, you need a crit bow for this build to work. If you're not using crit bow, the damage would be quite low, but it's also good. It's not bad, it's still really good. But like, to just use one button when bossing, you need a crit bow. Also, why do I prioritize surpassing chance to fire an additional arrow other than crit? Because it will increase our DPS even more. Because when ice shot proc, it will give you shard, and the shard, when it hits tornado shot, when it hits the tornado, it feel like the projectile is like duplicated, and then it will deal a huge damage. That's why the boss is like deleted so fast. It's because the shards, when it hits the tornado shot. As you can see, if you use Garukan Resolve on the tooltip, there will be main hand critical hit chance, which is the default one, is 33%, and then the effective chance for critical hits is 55, which is the first roll, and then the twice critical hits, the second roll, is 11.12%. You don't need to aim too high, because Garukan Resolve limit your critical hit chance to be 50%. So around 30 to 50 is very good. But like, even with my 4.9 critical hit chance bow, I only reached 33.3%. so it's pretty hard to scale the crit chance. Maybe you can take it from the tree, but like, I don't know, but my tree is, I feel my tree is already good for now. I don't know if there will be a other tree that you can use for more effective, higher effective critical hit. Maybe there is, but currently my tree with 4.9 will give 33.3%. So enough for the crit. Now let's move to the other amazing gear, which is this glove, Sine Auquo Grand Manchets. These unique gloves, I don't know how to spell it, but this glove is really amazing because you usually will freeze enemy at 100%, right? 100% build up, but with these gloves you will freeze the enemy when it's at 50%. So that is really great, guys, because a lot of our 3 nodes are taking increased damage when frozen. So the faster you frozen the enemy, you will get increased more damage. Also from the glove, if the enemy is immobilized, the enemies will take 20% more damage. 20% more damage. So it's a multiplicative because it's a more damage. So this glove is really good. Also, when we are doing mapping, freezing is really easy, guys. If you use this glove, you don't need to have a high freeze build up on the tree or your jewels, because with 50%, basically when you shot something, it will be frozen instantly, except for boss. Alright, and then Headhunter is optional. You don't need Headhunter for this build. And then the other unique item that you need is Kadira's Gambit. This is the only quiver that we use. Because it will make our mapping very easy, because there will be Splinter, Crescendo, which will chain, Reversing, Diamond. This one I don't think is really helpful, because if you want to get the 600% increased rarity, you need to do the last hit to the enemy using your weapon. But then the enemy sometimes just die to Herald, so I think this is not very useful. Blunt Arrow is very good, Diamond is really good, Reversing is really good, Splinter is really good, Crescendo is also really good. So basically all of these will increase our DPS. Like, we cannot see it on the tooltip, but like, if you read this, Crescendo, even for the Crescendo arrow chains 6 additional times and deal 60% increased damage for each time they have chain. So it's really amazing, guys. Splinter, it's like an AoE. Reversing, the arrow will come back to you, so like it will hit from the front and then from the back of the enemies. Diamond, of course, it will be a critical hit with 60% increased critical damage bonus. So I don't know if we hit the diamond arrows, do we get the both twice critical hits or no? I'm still not sure about this, guys. Like, if the arrow is the diamond arrow, do we guarantee to get twice critical hit? But I think yeah. it works like that. This one, as I talked before, is kind of shady. I don't know, like, is this working or no? Blunt arrow is good too, easier to stun enemies. Okay, so enough for the Kadar's Gambit. Alright, so what other unit that we are using? Yo, the Mana Flask. The Mana Flask. This Mana Flask will recover 56 mana every 2 seconds. So you cannot use this flask, but like it's a flask, auto mana flask regen. Like your mana will regen 56 mana every 2 seconds. Wait, let me show you from here. Total mana recovery per second from Flask 36. I'm not sure how to wait. Is this not on the tooltip here? Character tooltip? I'm not quite sure, but if you remove this, as you can see, our mana regen is very slow, but when we use this, it will increase very fast. That's why we need this Mana Flask. It's also quite cheap, I think, not that expensive like the mana from the Simulacrum. And then for the Life Flask, if you don't have, I don't have the All-Out Life Flask, so I'm just using the normal flask with 30% recovery applied instantly, so I can spam my heal. Okay, for the armor, you don't need to use high-risk armor. You can just use a normal evasion armor that has a very high evasion rating. Alright, for the rings, rarity, flat attack, resistance. Also, you need some attributes if your gear doesn't have attributes. For the amulets, +2 or +3 projectile skill is okay. Spirit is optional, but if you want to use Herald of Ice, Herald of Ash, Herald of Thunder, Wind Dancer, and Ghost Route, you will need Spirit on here. But if you remove Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ash and only use Herald of Ice, you can do it with 100 Spirit. Like, I was using only Herald of Ice at the start, but then I upgraded my amulet to have more Spirit so that I can use Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ash. For the helmet, you will need a lot of energy shield, flat from the helmet. This one, because this is, I think, the main provider for energy shield other than the armor, because on the tree we will take conversion from evasion rating to energy shield from the armor. Alright, that's all for the gear. Now let's go to the support gems. For Ice Shot, we use Elemental Armament 2, Rapid Attacks 2, Rakiatas Flow, Rigwood Ferocity, Garukan Resolve. Garukan Resolve is a must for a crit. You can also, you don't need to use Garukan Resolve at the start, like, but if you want to get the highest damage, you need to use Garukan Resolve. Like, if you already have crit bow but doesn't have Garukan Resolve, it's okay. Just like save a couple divine and then buy Garukan Resolve. Rigwood Ferocity, this is also optional. You can change it to any other gem, maybe like Cold Attunement to get more cold damage. Rakiatas Flow, you can just change it to a normal cold penetration support gem. And for Herald of Ice, we use Freeze, Another Armament, Cold Mastery, Overreach, Execute 2, Tornado Shot, Overabundance, Prolonged Duration, Durability, Efficiency 2, Projectile Acceleration. Why we use Projectile Acceleration? Because the tornado will meet the ground very fast. Like if we don't use this Projectile Acceleration, like it takes some delay, but when you use it, it is faster to reach the ground. It's my personal choice, I think. It's up to you guys. Wind Dancer is Freeze, Blind 2, Cold Penetration, and Knockback. This is just a defensive player. Ghost Dance, Compress Duration, so that the delay between Ghost Route is decreased. Herald of Ash, I'm just using Magnified Area 2. Freezing Mark, I'm using Charged Mark, so that the enemies with the mark will get shocked from the shock ground. Mark of Shivening 2. This is what you guys need for bossing, because your mana cannot sustain when bossing, but if you put the mark with Mark of Shivening 2, you will get leech mana and also leech life from your 5% from 5% of your attack damage. Not physical, not elemental, but attack damage. So both. This is amazing, guys. Like, this is the solution for bossing if you don't have enough mana. Prolonged Duration 2, Eternal Mark, Efficiency 2. For Ice Tip Arrow, I'm using Cooldown Recovery 2, Elemental Armament 2, Magnified Area 2, and Short Fuse. I'm using Short Fuse is because it will make the explosion quicker. For Herald of Thunder, Elemental Armament 2, Execute 2, Blind 2, Concentrate Attack. Alright, that's all for the gear and support gems. Now let's move to the tree. So the tree is like a normal tree for crit bow. Like you take this node, crits, and then this Careful Assassin, also this Throat Seeker, also this, and then here. But if you don't want to take this one, it's also okay, because if you take Cook, it will reduce 22% of your defense. So it's, wait, I think not 22 but 25. It becomes 22 because my Timeless Sapphire have 3% increased global defense. So it's, if you take Cook, you will reduce your defense by 25%. It's up to you guys. Alright. And for here, I take the dizzying hits because it will give us chance to daze enemies on here. Also, when the enemy is dazed, the enemy will take 30% increased damage against these enemies. So increase damage from these enemies and then increase critical hit chance against these enemies. This is also good because it will increase our critical hit chance. So from the tooltip it's 33%, but then we will get an increase from here too when we hit these enemies. Also, I take these nodes because of the Time Lost Diamond against darkness. So I get around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20% of damage as extra cold damage. Also, you can choose to get the lightning one or fire. It's really up to you. The better one is if you get the both of this as a gain Like this one is gain cold, and then this one is gain lightning, or this one is gain as chaos, and then this one is gain as lightning, but it's very expensive. Alright, so we take this node because when the enemy is frozen, we'll get increased damage 50% with the hits. So this is also great. That's why when we're bossing, like before freezing, the damage is not high, but then when the boss is already freeze, like you can really see the DPS going. Okay, and then this one is for movement speed and also projectile damage. Movement speed, movement speed, movement speed, so that we can move very fast. Yeah, pretty generic trick. Also, I'm using Heart of the Well Diamond. You can get a double gain if you can, or like gain with other useful stat. Like mine is not the best, but yeah, I don't have more Divine to build this character because it's very expensive. By the way, don't be scared because it is expensive. You can just start using the non-crit bow, or like crit but then without the Garukan Resolve is also work. Just make sure you have the bow and the gloves and the quivers. For the Ascendancy tree, we take sustainable practice because 50% of evasion rating also grant elemental damage reduction. That's why even though with low EHP, we are quite tanky because we have elemental damage reduction again hit 77%. You can also make it more tanky, like you took out like this node, the damage node, and then this movement speed node if you want to get tanky, and get the deflection node here and then here if you want to be more tanky. Survivability. You can also remove this surpassing chance arrow. It's up to you, but I like more arrows, so I take these nodes. Alright, I think that's all for the build. Like the build is very high investment if you want to build the crit, but then you can just start with a high physical damage bow, the normal one with onslaught, and then plus level of attack skills, and then increase to companion, and then you take these nodes here so that the increase and reduction to companion damage also apply to you. You can start like that, and when you move to crit bow, you can change the tree easily. I think that's all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and see you guys on another video. Goodbye.